Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 31 of my 31 favorite keyboard players of all time. That's right. It's July the 1st here in 2025. We're starting fresh. We just finished up bass players in June. Now we're moving over to keyboard players, right? So, across all genres, folks, rock, pop, metal, jazz, fusion, blues, whatever the style of music, electronic, whatever the style of music is. Pick out your favorite 31 keyboard players. And again, these could be guys who play Hammond organ, synthesizer, mellotron, acoustic piano, electric piano, right? Or everything, all of them, or just a few, or just one, right? So really leave it open to interpretation. Your favorite players. Um, and we're also, like we've been doing with this series, we'll pick out our three favorite albums featuring their skills and then our favorite song featuring their keyboard playing, right? So for today's pick, this is a guy that was doing a lot of really great things for a number of years in three fairly notable bands. And then he kind of walked away from music and we haven't seen him since. So let's bring to the table here my pick for today. Pick number 31, none other than Greg Giuffria, of course, from Angel, from Giuffria, and from House of Lords. So three pretty cool bands that featured his keyboard skills. Maybe none of the three bands were huge bands. I think all three probably should have been. I think Giuffria had some decent success. So did Angel early on. House of Lords, maybe not quite as much, but most people know who these three bands are, and all feature his excellent keyboard skills. And again, one of those guys who did a little bit of everything, right? He was a master on the synthesizer, great at Hammond organ, mellotron, piano, electric piano, you name it, he played it across so many albums, a whole bunch of Angel albums. I think three House of Lords albums and the two Giuffria albums, right? So, but like I said, he's been pretty much invisible on the music scene for a long time now. After his stint in House of Lords, he kind of took a back seat. I think he became a very successful businessman. So it's probably making more money doing that than he did in music, sadly enough. But so let's talk about, and of course, he had the look too, man. It's like he always, especially with Angel, the white outfit, he had the guitar or he would be behind the big racks of synths and things like that. He had the long flowing blonde hair. He totally had the look of like the kind of hard rock keyboard god type of thing. So yeah, let's talk about. Let's take the close the app here. So let's talk about favorite albums. This was, I think, fairly easy because we don't have a ton to choose from. We're talking what, six Angel albums, something like that, six, seven Angel albums, the two Giuffria albums, and three House of Lords albums. But for me, this was it was pretty much on the easy side. So I'm going to go first with the debut Angel album as my first pick. This is without a doubt my favorite album out of all the ones that he appeared on. Um, some great stuff on here. Again, he's doing a little bit of everything, right? Lots of Hammond organ, tons of synths, mellotron, you name it, he's playing it. Tower, long time, rock and rollers, right? How about his work on Mariner? Lush, great, great stuff. On and on, terrific. The Angel theme, every song on here is really, really great. Again, it's kind of like Deep Purple style hard rock meets prog with a little bit of like glam rock thrown in. I think, like I've said many, many times, I think Angel were a little bit too early to the game. I think if Angel would have debuted probably like in the early 80s, mid 80s, their music might have caught on a little bit more, or maybe especially the first two albums would have been a little earlier, maybe they would have rode that kind of prog wave a little bit. Because by the time that this album came out in 1975, prog has kind of fallen out of favor with the masses. So it's like, and then their brand of kind of like glammy hard rock prog, maybe a little too early for what came in the 80s, right? Who knows? But a great album nonetheless. Lots of really great Greg Giuffria playing on there, as well as Punky Meadows on guitar. Right, they made a really good team, I thought. And then next up, I'm going to go with Hell of a Band, their second album. Again, great stuff on here. Dr. Ice to Fortune. Fortune's another big, like kind of epic prog track with great keyboards from Greg. Kind of, it's almost like the Tower Part Two, so to speak. Great stuff. Again, you got Mirrors on here is terrific. Any Way You Want It, great single. In fact, there's a lot of songs on these albums that should have been massive singles and really weren't. Casablanca for me kind of dropped the ball on this band. They signed them thinking they were going to be the next Kiss, and then they didn't really do anything with them. It's like just kind of inexplicable, but yeah, hell of a band. He's my second pick. And thirdly, I'm going to go with the self-titled debut from Giuffria. So here we have, I think, a band that he started that was almost an extension of Angel, but it totally sounded like an 80s band. I mean, this totally sounds like the product of where it came from. Bands like Night Ranger and whatnot, who were using like lots of keyboards in that kind of like commercial hard rock vein. Songs like Do Me Right, So Good, Call to Your Heart's got kind of like that Journey feel. There's some of that kind of melodic rock AOR going on this album too as well, but loads and loads of keys. You got Craig Goldie on guitar here, of course, who would later join Dio's band. You got David Glenn Isley, great vocals on here, Chuck Wright on bass, and Alan Krieger on drums, right? Really cool band. And I think there was a good amount of buzz with this first album. This album was had the two albums, this one sold the most, but by the second album, it kind of didn't really happen. But yeah, Don't Tear Me Down is great. Dance is really good on here. You got Line of Fire, terrific, lot of good simmering organ and loads of really cool synths on this album. So yeah, another really, really strong album featuring his keyboard skills. Really dig it a lot. And like I said, I always liked the fact that he played like multiple keyboards and always incorporated everything into all the songs. There's like this big wall of sound, really good. He played solos too, but he was more about kind of like the textures and the overall kind of soundscapes that he added to all the tracks that he appeared on, right? So as far as like favorite song, this one's kind of a no-brainer. I'm going to go to the first album. I'm going to go to Tower. You got that opening synthesizer blast, which kind of reminds me of the beginning blast of Tony Carey on Rainbow Rising, right? Kind of just gets you right into the album, pulls you right in. And then, of course, the big heavy riffs come in. And then he's kind of, when Punky starts doing those cool guitar chords and textures and things, then Greg comes in with the Hammond organ, which is really cool. And he plays that through a good chunk of the song. The more atmospheric sections, there's Mellotron. And then he does this wild synthesizer solo to kind of take the song out from the last like minute and a half of the song. Just a total Greg Giuffria tour de force is Tower. Amazing vocals, amazing guitars. I mean, it's my favorite song from the band, but I think it also best represents what he was all about as a keyboard player as well. So yeah, that's my pick for today. Greg Giuffria, Angel, hell of a band, and Giuffria self-titled debut are my picks. Tower is my song. Let us know what you think of Greg Giuffria down in the comments below, as well as your pick for today. Pick number 31. We're going to count our way all the way to number one. Who are we going to see along the way? You'll just have to wait and see, right? I had amassed a really, really big list and, whittle it down to 31. And there's a whole bunch of guys in my honorable mentions that I look at every day. And I'm like, kind of sad I couldn't fit them in, right? But that's what the honorable mentions for. You can't fit everybody. That's the thing. It's just like a lot of people on the finale yesterday of the bass player were like, well, Pete, what about such and such? And what about such and such? And I really thought you'd pick such and such. I can't believe you didn't pick such and such. Such and such is better than who you picked at number two, whatever. And that's like, guys, there's no better, there's no worse. It's who our favorites are, right? Someone mentioned that Geddy Lee was my number one, but yet Geddy went in interviews talking about how his biggest inspiration was Chris Squire. I know that. Doesn't mean that Chris Squire has to be my number one over Geddy. Chris Squire made my top five. He's one of the all-time greats. I just happen to like Geddy just a little bit more, right? So it's not about who's better or who was influenced by who. It's about the ones that we like and the ones that we like the most, right? So yeah, so there's going to be guys in my honorable mentions that I feel really bad didn't make the top 31, but you know what? If they get the honorable mentions too, that means a lot. That means they mean a lot to me. So we'll squeeze as many as we can in, but like I said, I won't remember everybody. So because you can't fit everybody. Can't fit everybody. Anyway, list your pick down below, as well as any thoughts you have on Greg Giuffria, and we'll see you tomorrow for our pick number 30. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alerted of all of our content as it posted. Please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below, we got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, our Cameo page, Sea of Tranquility membership options all down below. Also, remember, we are on Instagram. Peter Pardo, SOT is the name. Come find us, follow us. A lot of cool stuff happening on Instagram and posting all sorts of stuff. So, all music related stuff that's going to come up on the channel, stuff that we're not going to talk about on the channel. You never know what you might see on there. So, yeah, so come check us out, and we'll see you soon with more stuff. I am Pete Pardo. Take care. See you tomorrow for pick number 30. Have a good one. Bye bye.